Hello everyone and welcome back to Small Room Audio. Today we are reviewing this, the Exposure XM5 Integrated Amplifier. Quite a small half rack enclosure, and you've probably seen it if you've looked at some of my other reviews of late, appearing quite often because this has become my sort of over £1,000 reference integrated amplifier. And there's a good reason for that, because it's very versatile and also quite easy to store in a small room because it's relatively small. So what do you get for your money? Well, okay, I'll put it up on my shoulder here, hopefully you can see it. You've got a very nice front plate here. In terms of kind of quality of build, it is excellent. The actual body of it itself is just a standard kind of enclosure that you get on pretty much any amplifier, so that's not that exciting or that pretty. And then on the back, you've got a number of different connections and options, which we'll run through in a moment. So in this, you get 50 watts of power. And I was a bit worried that 50 watts in it's sort of an amplifier of this size, may be a little bit might run out of steam occasionally. I've yet to make this run out of steam. This has got a good 50 watts. It really does thump away if you need it. And if you know anything about Exposure, you know that they are renowned for really giving a good rhythmic presentation with their equipment. And I've got to say, it really does fulfill on that promise. On the front, you've got sort of selection of your different sources, or indeed for your power button as well. And on the back, running through it, we have auxiliary, AV, pre-out, and then we've got some digital ins as well. So USB and some optical, and also some coaxial up the top. Now, all of that is for digital input into the internal DAC of the XM5. Probably, I'd say, the weakest part of this particular integrated amplifier. It's a little bit soft for my liking, because the amplifier itself it does lean a bit warm and also a little bit soft. And what I mean by that is that the upper region and upper mids are kind of smoothed off, which, although that might sound disappointing, is really good in a lot of situations, particularly if you're in a small room or you're sitting closer to your speakers. Sometimes it can be a bit fatiguing. So just by rolling and smoothing off the edges a little bit, you get a presentation which is a lot more enjoyable and easier to listen to. And actually that's where this amplifier comes into its own. We also then have something which may disappoint a lot of you, which is the speaker terminals, and it can only fit banana plugs, which is fine for me because I've got banana plugs. But if you don't and you've got bare wire connections for your speaker cables, or if you've got really fancy nice spades, you're going to be left wanting here. So that is something to consider if you are looking to purchase this amplifier. And of course you've got the power cable going into the back and the ground as well. So let's just pop it down because it's getting a little heavy, although it is for an amplifier quite easy to hold, just not for the longevity of a review. So as I said, it's got a nice warm-ish presentation, smoothed off on the top, plenty of power when you need it, easy to place, build quality is good, if not superb. But overall, what a fantastic match to certain types of speakers. And those ones in particular are, for example, neat speakers where rhythm is king, or the Ophidian speakers where you've got the two bass woofers going. I probably wouldn't pair it with something where, like from Andrew Jones and Elac, because that's already kind of got a little bit of roll off on there. And also it was okay, but not the best with the Triangle Borea Bro 2s. So, you've got to try and look for something where you want to extend the kind of ability to create a rhythmic drive, or where you're just trying to tame a slightly hotter top end. And then you've got a lovely pairing with the Exposure XM5. In terms of that internal DAC, lovely to have it, because why wouldn't we want to have a DAC? But I probably would go for a dedicated external DAC rather than use one in it. That is definitely the weakest part of this amplifier. And what do I use with it? Well, I've kind of got a pretty high range DAC behind me, which is the Dynaudio Terminator, but you could certainly use something from Chord with this, such as the Cutest, or you could use something from Topping. That would sound pretty good. Again, just try and get your balance right. So, if this is slightly warmer and slightly softer, then you can afford to get maybe a bit more of an incisive DAC, you know, something, you know, I'm very much generalizing, but something towards a Sabre DAC rather than a sort of a Burr Brown or a Wolfson DAC. You can go for something which is a bit more clean and got a bit more of a leading edge. Okay, a quick note on comparisons. What else could you be looking to get in and around £1,400? Well, if you went a little bit cheaper, you could be looking at the Riga Brio, which is also a very good integrated amplifier. However, I do think the extra step up in money does provide a more sophisticated sound out of the XM5. Of course, you could go the other way and spend a bit more money. For about 225 quid, I think it's about that more, you would get yourself a Schiit Agir and Schiit Freya Plus. And that is a combination I absolutely adore. I think is fantastic sounding. And I've got to say, purely for sound quality, that does beat the XM5. And of course, you've got all of the tube rolling fun that you can put into the Schiit Freya Plus. However, firstly, getting hold of Schiit products at the moment is quite tricky. And secondly, it's two bigger boxes rather than one complete box. The Schiit pairing doesn't have a phono stage and it doesn't have a DAC, unlike the XM5, which does. So you've got to weigh up what you want. And also the sound quality difference, particularly if the Freya Plus is in solid state mode, isn't huge. It's not a gulf, it's just a little bit better. And the other thing to really note is this XM5 has 60 watts of power, the Agir only has 20. Horses for courses, take your pick. Anyway, this amplifier absolutely gets our recommendation here. You know, it's versatile, easy to store in a small room, and it delivers on sound quality. But also remember that you've got to make sure that you're not taking something which is already rolled off to then sort of maybe pare it down too much with the smooth presentation of the XM5. Anyway, this probably concludes today's review. If you've liked it, please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here very soon.